I'm Laura Myth Tamer and welcome to the channel. So you guys all know that I am a Myth main. It is my main school that I play in this game. It's just a school I've always been drawn to, but the thing about Myth is they're not even used for what they're originally designed for. They're a really cool school, and they can be versatile and used in many different ways that they want to be, as I've said in a couple other videos. But the thing about Myth is that their whole meta is supposed to be minions. So I'm going to go through this dungeon, also just because I need to, because I'm trying to get the robe for my storm, but we're going to go through this dungeon using minions and seeing just how well we can do using mostly minions. So I've been thinking a lot, and I've been talking to one of my friends on Discord about minions and myth, because he's also a myth main. And he brought up a really good point that it would be really cool if you could control your minions kind of like you do your pet. You know, like the whole pet control feature they give you at the beginning? That would be really cool. Instead of it being like you control like another character, because that would be a little overpowered, you could just control like 1, 2, or 3. They can either support you, heal you, or do damage. That's a really cool idea that I think that he had. That would be a really good way to maybe help implement and fix the whole meta of minions that has to do with myth. And also heard that they're doing a minion rework anyways, according to, I don't really know, I heard some other people talking about it, which would be really cool. I'd love to see what they do, especially for myth, because that should must be myth's whole thing. It's kind of hard to be a conjurer when you can't really conjure up anything, because by default of just a wizard in general, isn't everybody a conjurer because they're always conjuring up spells to begin with? So I'm trying to, there's other ways that you could utilize minions, but maybe just program them to be more on set for the actual game now. I mean, I know you get a good minion later in Avalon, but even at that point, they still are pretty selfish and only do things that they do now. It'd be cool if they could actually upgrade the minions to work kind of like, I don't know, bosses do in this game, or mobs do. That way they actually have a mind that's not just whatever they feel like doing. Here, I'll show you an example. We're going to try doing this entire dungeon with just minions. Or not just minions. I have a hit in there because I don't think they're going to be able to do much. Have 3 pips. Okay, we're going to do this guy. Let's see what he has to offer. It's been a really long time since I've even used minions. I think the last time I tried actually using them was for that myth guide video I made almost 2 years now. And when I first started playing on my myth. So who knows? This could either go really bad or really good. I'm not exactly sure. Can I even put another minion here, or does it just replace the one I have? I'm pretty sure it just replaces the one that I have. That's not too bad. Is he putting it on? He's putting it on himself. See what I mean? Even that, that would be a cool feature. They could select a spell, and I could select where it goes to. Because a big thing that they like to do is they like to use your traps, and they like to use your feints and other things that you have on the enemy. They do whatever they want to do. And that's kind of part of the problem. If you could, maybe they could select a spell and then you decide who he hits. Let's say that this guy has a myth trap on or a feint on and he's hitting him right now. Then what's that going to do? That destroys everything I'm working on. So why would I put something in the fight that's just going to make it worse than it already is, you know? It's not that bad though, considering all things, because what happens if you need help in a fight? You just absolutely cannot do it by yourself. Then I can see how a minion would be able to counter that, how it would come into play. It's kind of the opposite, you know, opposing of Storm in that way, because Storm needs that thing but doesn't have it. Myth has it, but they don't necessarily need it. That sort of shtick, I guess. But in the long run, they just don't do what they're supposed to do. The whole concept falls apart. Now, see, this is useful. I can use this. Okay, I'm gonna do this on this guy. Let's see if it replaces the minion that we have now. If there's a way I can have a whole floorboard of minions, why wouldn't I do that then? You know, because I mean that in its own way kind of makes sense. But it kind of sucks that they just have a mind of their own and they don't consider the duel. And I think even enemies that we fight in the game consider the duel more than our minions do. And that's kind of where the problem lies. Like I said earlier, it'd be cool if you could just control them to some degree. I don't exactly know where King's Hour could go with it, But I really do think that we need a minion rework, and he did. Okay, so let's see. Does he replace the guy I already have? Yes, but still, that's not that bad. This is actually one of the better minions they have. I mean, it is a newer minion in general, but then again, okay, let's see how he does with this natural attack. It has really low health for it to be such a like high level minion. Like I can only have him in the duel for about a round before he gets killed by one of the enemies that I'm fighting, especially at the level that I'm at. So then he kind of just becomes irrelevant too. So it's just one of those things. I don't know. Myth is a really cool school, and Myth is versatile, but that's not the whole point of Myth. Myth had to adapt to get to that point. The meta had to adapt to us to get to that point. So then where do we go? Because our whole concept is minions, and that's what makes people scared to even play Myth, to even try it. So either you find another way for Myth to be useful, and you find another way for Myth to be implemented into the game, or you fix the minion outcome, I guess. I'm not exactly sure as far as that goes, but I do know there has to be some way to make it a more versatile school. It's been an issue for a while. Another school that's kind of like in the same like box as that would be Ice, and we all know that Ice is by default the tank school, but they have a lot of really fatal flaws too, and I'm probably going to make another video discussing Ice as well. But what can be used to improve Myth? Like what can be done to try and improve what we already have? What do you guys think? Because it's an open discussion that we have talked about in the Discord server multiple times, and I just really don't know what you could do to improve it. I mean, as far as stats go, stats are still middle way. I don't even think King's Isle knows what to do with Myth Wizards. Mostly because they just don't. They don't fall into any kind of category, and they don't really fit into any of the other schools. If you've ever tried questing on a team of 4 with a Myth and you have a Storm, a Life, and Ice, or a Storm, a Life, and a Balance, or something along those lines, you don't even need the Myth. Like, I've quested all the way up from Zafaria through Azteca and Chrysalis on my Myth, and I just stood there and passed every fight that we did because there was actually nothing for me to do. There's no way that I can benefit my team, and it doesn't really change anything that it's kind of hard just to play in general by yourself. It's not that bad, but like it still hits middle of the road. And if we have a defined role, like let's say I'm on a team with a Life, then I have a defined role, or let's say I'm on a team with a Storm, then I have a defined role. But if it's like a whole team setting, or I'm trying to do anything else, then there's not really anything for me to do. I'm just kind of standing there. And I just feel like Myth needs a rework. All around, the School of Myth could genuinely use a rework to get over the whole minion thing. Either they take that aspect away from that school, or they completely just rework minions in general. I think that's something that King's Isle needs to step up on, because Myth has been a part of the game since the game was released. It was an original, thought-out concept. Here's another thing, just want to put this in there real briefly. I talked about this also in my Myth Guide video, but this is an X-Pip Cyclops, and he'll take 4 of my pips for me to use him. I'm not even really exactly sure if he's all that useful. I want to see how he does this time. I used a Minotaur last time. Let's see what the Cyclops does. I don't exactly know like what rank he is necessarily, but we'll see. I'm pretty sure he's one of my highest ranks for a minion, but I could be wrong. But so far they're proving not useful. He's blading himself. I don't exactly know what he's gonna do with that, but I mean, like I said, I guess we'll see. Let's see what he's gonna do. I think they're so cool though. It's so cool to be able to just like do this. It would be cool, like, I already put Myth in the category that I put Death in. I put them in their own separate category because everybody else has somewhere to go. Everybody else has a place to be, but Death does its own thing. Myth should be able to also do its own thing, but not in the same way that Death does it. Death has the whole heal and then, or damage and then heal yourself, but Myth just have the ability to be able to always have a partner, always have a buddy, always be able to do something. These minions should be able to train things like Frog and Orthrus or something like that. Not these low-level spells, because they stop giving you minions at a certain point. Which I get that. I get that because minions have a lot of hate. But if they got a rework and you gave us a new Myth minion and you gave us a new reason to use them, you proved to us that they can be used in the current meta of the game, I really feel like they could be useful. I mean, it's a really, really, really cool concept that's just not implemented right. I don't think that these minions have been touched since the release of the game. I'm gonna be honest. I might be wrong about that, but I genuinely don't think that they've done anything with them in a really long time. And King's Isle honestly should get on that. I really think so, because there's a lot of people that want to play Myth or are actually avoiding playing it altogether because of that idea and that concept, because minions have never proved to be all that useful. It's kind of like being your own like boss enemy. You have your own minion to do your fight with you. That's scary, and imagine how useful that could actually be in PvP. It would change PvP as a whole, give it a whole other thing, because you know, all the other schools have their own stuff. Myth is already scary with Earthquake and the rest of the things that make it beneficial to PvP, but imagine if they had their own minions that were actually useful and you could actually implement into the game. I think that would just be like a crazy like new aspect to Myth as a whole. I really do.
Very good.
So as I said, I want to know what you guys' opinions are as far as Myth goes. What do you think we could do to improve Myth? I really want to know, because Myth is my favorite school, and I want to hear ideas, because I think it's really like fun to talk about it as a school in general. I think it's fun to like get into a deep dive discussion of all of the schools. And if you guys want to see another video like this of me talking about it, because I'd love to do something talking about Ice probably, because Ice also gets a really bad rep, but I just want to hear what you guys think. What's a way we could improve Myth? And what do you guys think makes Myth a really bad school? Why does it get so much hate? Because it can't just be because of the minions. It can't just be because of Cyrus Drake. What else is there that just makes Myth so unlikable? And how many of you guys play Myth? Like, how many of you guys main Myth? I'd love to know, because it's my favorite school. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!